September 490 BC, Marathon, Greece. A Persian army had landed. Athens faced its greatest threat, appeared stronger. How could the Greeks stop them? The Greeks knew one thing. If the Persians reached Athens, the city could fall. So instead of waiting behind their walls, the Athenians marched to Marathon to block the invasion. Marching to Marathon solved one problem. It prevented an immediate attack on Athens, but a larger problem remained. The Persians still had more soldiers. Could the Greeks survive a direct battle? To answer that question, the Greeks studied the battlefield. The plain was wide and open, perfect terrain for the Persian army. At first glance, the advantage seemed entirely Persian. The Persians excelled at missile warfare. Their archers could weaken an enemy before close combat even began. That made a traditional approach extremely dangerous for the Greeks.
That was the real challenge. The Greeks needed to reach the Persian line before arrows could break their formation. But how could heavily armored soldiers cross open ground fast enough?
Miltiades believed speed was the answer. If the Greeks moved quickly, they could reduce the time spent under enemy arrows. But speed alone would not guarantee victory. The next problem was numbers. A thinner battle line risked being overwhelmed. A thicker line risked being surrounded. Miltiades needed a balance. His solution was unusual. He strengthened both wings of the army while leaving the center slightly thinner. It was a calculated risk. Now the plan existed. But a plan means nothing until battle begins. The question was whether Greek discipline could survive the first moments of combat. The Greek plan was ready. Now it had to work. Miltiades gave the order, and thousands of hoplites began moving toward the Persian line. The Battle of Marathon had begun.
The Persians watched the advance with surprise. Instead of waiting, the Greeks were bringing the fight directly to them. But could they cross the deadly open ground in time? As the distance closed, Persian archers prepared their weapons. This was the moment Miltiades had feared. The Greeks were entering the most dangerous part of the battlefield. Then the arrows came. Dark clouds of missiles swept toward the advancing Greeks. If the formation broke now, the battle could end before it truly began. But the Greek formation held. Heavy shields and armor absorbed much of the attack. The Persians had slowed them, but they had not stopped them. Now the distance was disappearing fast. The battle would no longer belong to archers. It was about to become a brutal contest of shields and spears. The collision was violent. Bronze shields crashed into Persian ranks. Spears struck from both sides. Within seconds, the battlefield became a struggle for survival. At first, the Persian center began pushing forward. The thinner Greek center was under enormous pressure. Miltiades' gamble seemed close to failure. But the weakening center was part of the plan. While the Persians focused forward, the stronger Greek wings were achieving something important. For the first time, the Persians faced a new threat. The Greek wings were breaking through, and suddenly, the battle was no longer unfolding the way they expected. The Greek wings were now doing exactly what Miltiades had planned. While the center held on, both sides of the Greek army continued pushing the Persians backward. This created a new problem for the Persians. Their attention remained fixed on the Greek center. They didn't realize the battle was beginning to close around them. The stronger Greek wings kept advancing. Every step reduced the Persians' room to maneuver. The battle was slowly shifting from a frontal fight into a trap. For the Greeks, this was the critical moment. The center had survived long enough. Now the wings needed to finish the job before Persian numbers could recover the initiative. Then the battlefield changed completely. The Greek wings attacked the Persian center from both sides. The Persians suddenly found themselves fighting in multiple directions. Their numerical advantage became harder to use as confusion spread across the line. This was the turning point Miltiades had been waiting for. The same Greek army that had seemed outnumbered was now controlling the battle. As pressure increased, more Persian soldiers began retreating toward the coast. The battle line that had looked unstoppable only minutes earlier was collapsing.
The Greeks did not stop. They continued pushing forward, determined to prevent the Persians from regrouping near their ships. Now the battle was moving toward the shoreline. What began as a desperate defense had become a pursuit. The question was no longer whether the Greeks could win, it was how complete that victory would be. The Persian army was retreating, but the battle wasn't over. Thousands of soldiers rushed toward their ships. For the Greeks, speed was now essential. Every ship that escaped could carry soldiers toward Athens. Victory on the battlefield meant little if the city remained vulnerable. Near the water's edge, the fighting became desperate. Persian troops struggled to board their ships, while Greek warriors tried to stop them.
This was no longer a battle for territory, it was a battle for escape. Every moment increased the chances that part of the Persian force could survive.
Despite the chaos, many Persian ships managed to leave the shore. The Greeks had won the battle, but they could not completely destroy the invading army.
The fighting finally began. After hours of combat, the battlefield belonged to the Greeks. But victory came at a cost.
Ancient sources report that Athens lost around 92 men. For a citizen army, even that number represented families, friends, and experienced warriors who would never return home. The Persian losses were far higher. Ancient accounts describe thousands killed during the battle and retreat. The exact number remains debated, but the defeat was undeniable. The answer was now becoming clear. The Greeks had not won because they were larger. They had won because their strategy turned Persian strengths into weaknesses. But one final danger remained. The Persian fleet was still intact. If it sailed directly to Athens, the war might not be over yet.
The battle was won, but the danger remained. Nosit. Persian ships were still at sea. If they reached Athens before the Greek army, the city could face attack without its defenders.
Miltiades understood the threat immediately. A victory at Marathon would mean little if Athens fell afterward. The army needed to move again, and quickly.
The answer was simple but demanding. The same soldiers who had fought all day would march back to Athens as fast as possible.
The march was difficult. The men were tired, wounded, and carrying heavy equipment. Yet stopping was not an option. Every hour mattered.
Meanwhile, the Persian fleet moved toward Athens. The invasion had failed at Marathon, but Persian commanders still hoped to find an opportunity. This created a race. Not a race between individuals, but between an army on land and a fleet at sea. Whoever arrived first could decide the outcome.
As evening approached, the Athenians reached the city. They immediately took defensive positions and prepared for a possible attack.
Soon after, Persian ships appeared offshore. But the Persians saw something unexpected. The same army they had fought at Marathon was already waiting. The opportunity was gone. The Persians had lost the battle and now lost their final chance to threaten Athens. The invasion was effectively over. At last, the answer was becoming clear. Marathon was not just a battlefield victory. It was a successful defense of Athens itself.
Many battles have been won throughout history. Yet Marathon remained famous for a different reason. Its consequences extended far beyond the battlefield itself.
The victory proved that the Persian Empire could be defeated. For the Greek world, that lesson was as important as the battle itself. Just as importantly, Marathon strengthened Athens. The city gained confidence, influence, and prestige throughout Greece. The battle also revealed the effectiveness of the hoplite system. Discipline and coordination had overcome a larger opponent. But Marathon did not end the conflict between Greece and Persia. It only delayed a larger confrontation that would come years later. That fact makes Marathon even more remarkable. The Greeks knew they had won a battle, not the entire war. Today, historians still study Marathon because it demonstrates how leadership and strategy can overcome numerical disadvantages.
The brutal reality of Marathon was not glory. It was exhaustion, fear, casualties, and thousands of men fighting for survival.
Yet those hardships produced a result few thought possible. A smaller Greek army had defeated a larger Persian force in open battle. So how did the Greeks win at Marathon? Not through luck or numbers, They won because Miltiades chose the right strategy. Athens acted before Persia could control the fight.